Procrastination. My grandmother used to have this saying. She said, procrastination is the greatest nation in the world. And I am the queen of procrastination. So I was like, why do I do this? Why do I always procrastinate? Why do I always wait until the last minute, right? I'm going out of town, out of the country actually, in 7 days. And I usually wait till the night before to pack. I usually stay up all night long and pump and then sleep on the plane. So I'm going to commit to myself that I'm not going to do that. And I've tried to understand why I do that. Well, one of the things that I read recently about procrastination is that people procrastinate because of stress. And it's a stress avoidance technique. And before I get started, I wanted to speak to the woman who knows she's meant for more. If you've been stuck at the same level for too long, I created a leadership assessment test just for you. And it takes just about 3 minutes. And if you qualify, you'll unlock my $2,000 leadership advantage, including 4 weeks of coaching with me, access to our private WhatsApp community, and access to the tools to get you moving again. So start there, take the test, use the link below. All right, next levels. It's a new year, new level. That's what we're going to do. And to that end, I've been spending some time thinking about goals for 2026. I don't typically do New Year's resolutions because my New Year's resolutions don't generally make it to that 21-day mark, which is where you form a new habit. But I'm looking at things in a different way. So I am taking the chance, of putting out in the universe to you all what my goals are. And these are goals that I believe will help me get to that next level. I have a girlfriend, Tanya, and I was sharing with her that a lot of people come to me and ask advice, and I seem to be full of wisdom, but yet I am not able to ingest my own wisdom. Don't seem to listen to myself and follow my own advice. And so that one year she prayed over me and she said, please let me hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. And that's what I want to do for this year. I want to hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. So I have 3 words: courage, procrastination, and alignment. Those are the key focus areas for me for 2026. So let's face it, I'm not going to lie. 2025 was rough. It was rough for a lot of people. All of my girlfriends got more or less forced into retirement. One hasn't, but she's about 5 minutes from doing that. And she probably should do it anyway, but that's another video. So let's talk about courage. In looking at courage, I thought, well, what are the barriers to achieving these goals, right? And so one of my favorite movies is The Wizard of Oz. And so in the song Over the Rainbow, there's this verse that goes, the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. And some of us don't have the courage to dream. That daring to dream takes courage to plant that seed in your head and seal it with hope and faith and maybe fear of being disappointed, right? So committing to the goal, committing to what you want to do will take some courage. And so I'm looking at my courage, the courage that I have. And the 3 areas that I'm going to focus on is savings, right? Not just for me, personal savings, That I think I do. But savings for the business and looking at the business as being independent entity and not just an arm of me. So Muse Technologies will have some goals and we'll have some financial goals. That's what we're going to do. The second area was in a spiritual goal. Well, I never set spiritual goals. Some of the things I do, like, okay, I'm going to do my devotional every day. Um, or I'm going to read the Bible every day. But that's output. And I'm looking at outcome based goals are make changes, has impact. Output goals, like I'm going to read the Bible every single day and not skip a day. That's output. But I commit to having the Bible change me, having an impact. And in this area, it's discipleship. I don't know what it means, but I'm going to make some headway in that area. The last one, and these are all things that need courage. That's what I'm talking about. Courage is a physical goal. I need to improve my mobility, and the one area that would give me the biggest impact is strengthening my core. If I strengthen my core, then the cascading effects would be profound. And so this isn't just exercise every day, take 10,000 steps. I have to be intentional about the outcome that I want. I want to strengthen my core. And so I'm going to do the activities that will help me accomplish that, whatever that is. So I have to do some studying. The second major area was procrastination. And so I'm wondering, what stress am I avoiding? And being a little bit serious about it. So if I wait till the last minute to launch and I stay up all night long, what stress am I avoiding? I'm actually putting wear and tear on my body, and regardless of whether my husband's going or not, I put wear and tear on his body. And maybe, Linda, that's not fair. So I'm being a little bit more aware of what causes my stress and not putting myself in those stressful situations. So I kid myself and I say, hey, I'm Superwoman. I can do it. I work better under stress. Um, just because I work better under stress doesn't mean I should. And especially here lately, there are enough things in the environment that cause stress. I don't have to add anything to it, like I get from procrastination. One of the things that kind of drew an analogy to stress has to do with, you know, I've had two knee replacements. The first replacement, I was under rehabilitated because right after the surgery, we had COVID and a lockdown, and then I didn't have the physical therapy that I should have. With the second knee replacement, it went a whole lot better from a physical perspective, but I found that I'm still recovering from the first knee replacement. So, what I noticed that I have been doing, and it's sort of like this whole Superwoman thing. I walk fast. Well, I'm getting over my skis. I'm walking faster than I really can walk, but I feel like I can walk better faster. But why am I putting myself in danger? Because I always feel like I'm going to fall, getting over my skis, so to speak. And that fast walking is like procrastination, waiting till the last minute and then doing Herculean efforts to get things done. I don't have to walk so fast. I don't have to walk so slow either. So procrastination, I don't have to wait till the last minute. I don't have to go as early as I need to go, but I need to stop it. So I am going to start packing before next Tuesday. That. So alignment was the third and last word. And what does that mean? It's alignment with the will of God. one of the things that I wanted to work on is trust in God. When my mother died, my heart was broken. I had, I remember talking to my girlfriend Stephanie, and I said, I have never hurt so much in my life. Nothing has hurt me as much as the pain of my mother's death. I think I had a lot of reasons for that. Um, But I had some things that I had to figure out in my head. Some things I had to work through and work on. And one of the things that it boiled down to is trusting God. I I was going back through my journal, my spiritual journal, and I wrote down 5 goals. And one of the goals was around my mother's health. This was probably 6 months before she died, maybe a year. I'm not, it was probably 6 months before she died. And so I wrote down what it was, and it was one of the goals that was, around my mother's health, improved health, because I believed that she could still improve. She had COPD. It was not terminal. And I believe that she could adjust and have a meaningful life. It seems like as soon as I wrote that down, her health started going downhill, downhill, downhill. Then one week was, the doctor said she has to go to hospice. She went to hospice on Friday and she died on Monday. So I'm like, what happened? I prayed. I had faith. What happened? So I had to work through all that. And so that's why my word is alignment. Aligning uh, my prayers with God's will. Who do I think I am? That I will have control over life and death and dictate whether or not my mother lives or dies. There's faith and prayer and healing, and that happens. But then there's alignment with what God's plans are. So if my prayers don't align with His will, I have misalignment. So how do we get alignment? I think it's a process. It's not a you do X, Y, and Z and then you're aligned. Or you just close your eyes and believe and you're aligned. I think it's more difficult than that. It's more complex than that. But one of the first things you have to do is recognize God's voice. How do you recognize it? For me, one of the things that worked tremendously is meditation. So clearing my mind of thoughts, focusing on nothing but my own breath, and pushing my thoughts out, clearing my mind. So those exercises taught me how to recognize thoughts that were mine, thoughts that were not mine, and being able to discern what God's voice sounds like. So once you're able to recognize His voice, you have better alignment with what His will is. And then when you pray, interrogate His will first and make sure that you're listening to His voice and not wishful thinking. God is not a genie. He doesn't grant free wishes. He is here for you, but sometimes doors close. Your prayers don't get answered, and it happens for reasons that you don't understand. So that's God's will. Alignment with it. There's one more thing I want to say about that. And I think that there's a difference between lying to yourself and having faith. So if let's take my mother's situation. I prayed for her health, right? And some would say, then you always speak to the truth. You say she's going to be better. She's going to get, she'll improve. This will happen. This will happen. But there was something where I couldn't say that. And I think deep down inside, I understood what God's will was. And if I said otherwise, then I would be lying to myself. And lying to yourself is not faith. Lying to yourself is just what it is, lying to yourself. So the challenge here is knowing the difference between faith and lying to yourself. So this wraps it up, next levels. What I'm working on this year is courage, procrastination, and alignment, right? And those three things are going to be the overarching things that are going to help me get to my next level. So give me some comments, put some comments and tell me what are your big things that you're going to do in order for you to get to the next level. And let's talk about it. There's an African proverb that says you can go fast alone or far together. And let's go far and let's go far together. So take my leadership assessment test and let it show what you haven't been able to say out loud. And if your results qualify you, I'll support you through your next step. And I'll support you with a $2,000 leadership advantage, access to our private WhatsApp community, and personal coaching. You deserve to rise. Start with the test. It's your moment.